Out goes Obamacare, in comes TrumpCare. Will anybody notice the difference? Two-parter here, two-part video. No, all in the same video, two segments. Red State's newly minted senior executive poobah editor or whatever, editor-in-chief, I guess is the term, Caleb Howe, points out what's coming, and this is another see we told you so from the Never Trump readout. Headline, health insurance for everybody, and the government will pay for it, says Republican Donald Trump again. This should not be big, surprising, new news. But somehow it is. Here's what he said last weekend. Actually, in a Washington Post interview, last Sunday? Quote, "We're going to have insurance for everybody," Trump said. "There was a philosophy in some circles that if you can't pay for it, you don't get it. That's not going to happen with us. People covered under the law can expect to have great health care. It will be in a much simplified form, much less expensive, and much better." Because his name will be on it, most presumably. And then this was an excerpt from a Trump interview on CBS from September 27th, 2015. Quote, Scott Pelley asks, "Universal health care?" Trump answered, "I'm going to take care of everybody. I don't care if it costs me votes or not. Everybody's going to be taken care of much better than they're taken care of now." Scott Pelley, "The uninsured person is going to be taken care of how exactly?" Trump, "They're going to be taken care of. I would make a deal with existing hospitals to take care of people. And you know what? If this is probably make a deal, who pays for it? The government's going to pay for it." Nothing's changed. See, do you see the problem with treating last weekend's revelation that Donald Trump is fundamentally pitching a universal health coverage plan as new and, well, a revelation? That's where we are, though. Yeah, we're going to repeal Obamacare and replace it with something exactly like it or worse called TrumpCare. He has before and is now offering the bullshit promise that every American will be covered, whether they can pay for it or not. And if they cannot pay, the government will pay. Sound familiar? Anybody? Donald Trump has consistently voiced his support for government-run health coverage. You may dimly recall way back in the ancient past of last week when the MAGA legions were crowing about the impending repeal of Obamacare as a vindication of Trump's election and an end to government control of healthcare or socialized medicine. Search your memory. Last week was a long time ago, but I assure you it happened. Quote, "For conservative Republicans dubious about his pledge to ensure coverage for millions, Trump pointed to several interviews he gave during the campaign in which he promised to not have people dying in the street. It's not going to be their plan," he said of people covered under the current law. "It'll be another plan, just like it. But they'll be beautifully covered. I don't want single payer. What I do want is to be able to take care of people," he said Saturday. In other words, I don't want single payer, I just want single payer. That's what government paying for it means! Single payer socialized medicine! "I don't want single payer," he throws in. As is his way, the president-elect, of course, expects to be given credit for both opposing points of view. He's against government health care. He is also for it. He is against single payer. He is also advocating it. Here is his cake, eaten and kept. And Trump has lauded the alleged success of single payer. During a presidential debate in 2015, Trump had this to say, quote, "As far as single payer, it works in Canada. It works incredibly well in Scotland. It could have worked at a different age, which is the age you're talking about here. Note, it does not work incredibly well in Scotland, Canada, or anywhere else. Why do you think prior to the rise of Obamacare that patients from Canada kept coming down to here, the United States, to get needed surgeries, treatments? In practically the same breath, Trump also said this, quote, "What I'd like to see is a private system without the artificial lines around every state." So which is it? Single payer works incredibly well. But he wants a private system. Well, which is it? More cake. But aside from saying he's against single payer, Trump has had nothing but praise for single payer. Here is Mo Lane's explanation of that CBS interview. This is dated almost a year ago, January 31st, 2016. Quote, "What Donald Trump is describing here is his support for either a public option, government-run healthcare insurance company, or something like a drastic national expansion of Medicaid, free public health care, neither of which is really compatible with his stated support for repealing and replacing Obamacare, given that the former goes further to the left than even Obamacare did. And something like the latter was part of Obamacare until the U.S. Supreme Court backhanded the Obama regime at the same time it was backhanding the regime over disrespecting the limits of the Commerce Clause. And I say that it oversells by only a little because everybody reading this, everybody listening to this already knows perfectly well that the long-term objective of either the public option or drastic Medicaid expansion was to weaken private health insurance to the point where universal health care became the only way to keep the entire edifice from collapsing. In other words, single-payer, Canadian-style healthcare system." Close quote. And here is, I know, it's astonishing, it's mind-boggling. But here is John Nolte from Trump Pravda, a.k.a. Breitbart. Listen to this, quote, "During his 60 Minutes interview Sunday, Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump appeared to come out in favor of a form of single-payer health insurance for the uninsured, although he does say he's going to take care of everybody, and openly called for raising taxes on the wealthy." I'm assuming that Nolte is saying that he thinks this is a good thing because Trump was the one who proposed it. There it is, folks! There it is, Trumplicans! And you think it's great because Trump proposed it. What has changed in Trump's rhetoric between then and now? Nothing. Zero, zip, not a bupkis. Except maybe that he's a little more open about some of his motivation. Robert Costa tweeted this out. Quote, "Trump told me he has been following coverage of Obamacare, Democrats, and critics closely. It prompted him to finalize a plan for a broader access post-repeal." Out of the frying pan and into the fire. And not only has that not changed since 2015, his support goes back further. In an interview in 2011, Trump had this to say, Quote, the Canadian plan, the Canadian plan also helps Canadians live longer and healthier than Americans. We need as a nation to re-examine the single-payer plan, as many individual states are doing. Close quote. It has long been an argument on the right to include among those who now comprise the alt-right that Obama and the Democrats hoped and planned for the public option to eventually become single-payer. Obama came right out and said it in that 2007 speech to the, I think it was the AFL-CIO. He said, "We can't get there all at once. We have to take a transition step. Obamacare will be the transition step to single-payer." He came out and said it. Came right out and said it a decade ago. What Trump has advocated for years is exactly the same. It really seems his beef with Obamacare is that it isn't set up the way he thinks it ought to be, rather than the very core political and practical premise of it. The president-elect claims to have a... Oh, God, here we go. What? I'm so sick of this. Claims to have a master plan. Yeah, Obama had one too, didn't he? A magic plan that will cover everyone in the country. Reduce premiums. Reduce government expense. Use government money to pay for the health coverage of those who cannot pay. Will not be Obamacare. Won't devolve into single payer. Will force drug manufacturers to give awesome prices to Medicare and Medicaid. Will improve the standard of care across the board. Is all ready to go already and will be implemented as a replacement toot to sweet without anyone currently covered under Obamacare losing their coverage or experiencing a gap. Go ahead, run it.
Bullshit! 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 You're not still the reason to play. Bullshit! Let's go bullshit!
Okay. Well, I can honestly say that if that's the case, we'll all be pleasantly shocked beyond all reason. But just for the sake of argument, let's say he's completely, utterly, and totally full of shit. Let's say he can't do that. Let's say he can't do any of those things. And we're instead looking at a hastily thrown together plan that will create another government behemoth and black hole of cost increases and skyrocketing premiums crushing the middle class. I thought we were repealing that. What then will Trump do if Republicans remember that they're Republicans and aren't big fans of big government running health care? How will he respond? Well, you can see what's coming, can't you? From the Washington Post interview, just this past Sunday, quote, Trump warned Republicans that if the party splinters or slows his agenda, he is ready to use the power of the presidency and Twitter to usher, he hates using Twitter, by the way, to usher his legislation to passage. The Congress can't get cold feet because the people will not let that happen, Trump said during the interview with the Post. Close quote. You know, it's like Barack Obama took over the Republican Party. That's what it's... Hey, I mean, you know what? Barack Obama used the Democrat Party to do this, shut the Republicans out of the process entirely. And we didn't think that there was any way that anybody could upstage what Barack Obama did. Donald Trump may have found a way to do it. He's going to use the Republican Party to impose socialized medicine, single payer. Oh, man. They said it couldn't be done. Actually, what we said is it shouldn't be done. We just never dreamed that our own former party would be the ones who did it, we say. So Trump wants to replace Obamacare with TrumpCare and has a new pen and phone and putter. Or maybe in his case, it's pen, phone, and pussy grabber. Great. Well, that's just great. And by the way, who is paying for that wall? Heck, who is paying for TrumpCare? Mexico! Yay! Well, hell, I mean, if we're going to be talking about unicorns and the Loch Ness Monster and My Little Pony pooping Skittles, then let's just go whole hog, man. Let's just go totally into the fantasy hole. And after this video, I'm going to go down to my bedroom, and Jessica Alba will be waiting there, legs splayed, and, well, whatever. Sorry, I didn't mean to infringe upon Trump's gimmick. David Leitch, the strident conservative, describes it thusly, and quite accurately, as Obamacare and TrumpCare, same song, different verse. Do you remember when Barack Obama said the following words when he was promoting the Unaffordable Care Act to the American people? Quote, "We're going to have insurance for everybody. There was a philosophy in some circles that if you can't pay for health insurance, you don't get it. That's not going to happen with us. People covered under the health care law can expect to have great health care. It will be in a much more simplified form, much less expensive, and much better." Wait a minute. Something sounds familiar about that quote. I'm checking my notes. Gee, God, I'm sorry. Those aren't Barack Obama's words, though they might as well have been. They are the words of Donald Trump from an interview in this past weekend with the Washington Post, as we covered in the first segment, where he was describing his replacement plan for Obamacare. That's right, America. The New York liberal plans to replace Obamacare with Obamacare 2.0, or TrumpCare, if you prefer, and he will. And, Brooklyn Dad Defiant, whoever the hell that is, tweeted the following, and boy, is this true. If the GOP were to leave Obamacare unchanged but change the name to TrumpCare, they would suddenly love it. He's not wrong, ladies and gentlemen. This should come as no surprise to anyone not a member of the Trump chorus line. Trump has a history of supporting single-payer health care and even defended it by channeling his inner Obama during the primaries, but he said he would not have people without health care dying in the streets. Trump could get what he wants from the GOP-controlled Congress. I hope not, but Leach wrote about how the Republican promise to repeal Obamacare was fake and how they are currently devising a scheme to renege on their commitment to destroy the Unaffordable Care Act, root and branch. Here's a quote from Representative Chris Collins. It was tweeted out by David Wright of CNN. Quote, "Well, we will repeal it quickly. The replacement is something you'll see, sometime in June, July timeframe. We're going to have a lot of hearings, both on my health subcommittee on the ways and means on the replacement plan. You've seen 5 or 6 different versions of replacement plans on the Republican side. We're going to have to bring those all together to have one final product. We're going to spend a lot of time talking to the governors, certainly some of the Republican governors that have taken advantage of the Medicaid expansion. Why would they be the ones you would talk to if the idea is to get rid of Obamacare? There's a lot of work to do, but our message to America is this disastrous plan called Obamacare with $12,000 deductibles for a bronze plan that effectively means you're buying a product you don't want to buy, and it doesn't do any good for an American family to have a $12,000 deductible. So here's where it gets interesting, folks. Immediately, what we are saying, we are not going to pull the rug out from anyone. There are not going to be any changes in 2017. Let me repeat that. There are not going to be any changes to Obamacare in 2017. There are not going to be changes in 2018. Let me repeat that. There are going to be no changes to Obamacare in 2018. Boy, that'll really sell to the Republican electorate. Of course, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting. Republicans think now that socialized medicine is great because Trump has endorsed it. Well, it won't sell to any surviving conservative remnant in 2018, in any case. Those products have already been approved by the state insurance agencies or for the 2018 time or are in negotiation right now. So we are talking about new plans in 2019 or later. I don't know, the latest numbers that I've seen, polling numbers, Obamacare is 38% approved, 61% disapproved. So minus 23, I believe that's the proportion. So the Republicans run on repealing Obamacare, and then it's still going to be there during the 2018 midterms. You think that might be an issue? Just saying. So we are talking about new plans in 2019 or later that will be more affordable and let patients pick their doctors, and we will have to figure out exactly how we make sure that Americans are not disadvantaged and that this is a promise we have made. We are going to pull the rug out from under anyone so that we are not going to pull out the rug from under anyone, so there is no reason to worry about the next 2 years. I'm seeing an irony here. A Democrat president and a Democrat Congress gave America the first version of government-run socialized medicine. And now a Republican president, I'm sorry, let me start that again. Now a Democrat president and a Republican Congress will give us the second version of government-run socialized medicine. Because entitlements, that's the thing about entitlements. Once they're established, and Obamacare is, they're irremovable. Even Ronald Reagan. Remember when Ronald Reagan said a government program is the closest thing to immortality in this life, or words to that effect? Especially entitlements. Thought we wanted to get rid of Obamacare. Well, apparently not. Further confirmation of Trump's health care plans was provided when he answered a question about his plans regarding Medicare reform as part of cleaning up the Obamacare mess. Medicare and Medicaid costs exploded under Obamacare. When he told the interviewer that there would be no changes in benefits. No changes in benefits. Let me say it a third time. No changes in Medicare and Medicaid benefits. In addition to TrumpCare, the Donald promoted his plan to use the federal government as muscle to strong-arm pharmaceutical companies into lowering drug costs. When asked about the possibility of destroying the market under his plan, the Child King replied, quote, "I don't care. I want to do it right or not at all." Do it right? Boy, sounds awesome, doesn't it? Do you remember during the election when we were told that we had to vote for Trump in order to keep Hillary from continuing with Obama's policies?